when there's no more room in hell.
The dead will start a podcast.
Sorry, lad, but I can't see anyone.
No, there was someone there. Back there. He was horrible.
You said?
He was very tall, with black hair and a black suit, and his clothes were wet, as if he'd just come out of the water.
You were wet too.
What happened? Oh, son, put it down.
Hello everybody and welcome to No More Room in Hell number 66. This is Mike. Joining me as always, it's Mr. Venom. How's it going, Venom?
Greetings and salutations, flesh eaters. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. It's finally warming up in Southern California, so I'm back in my element. I actually had to wear a short sleeve shirt today for the first time in 2025, so that was exciting. How's your life been?
It's also warming up here, which is not my element, although, I mean, you would think I'd be used to it living here most of my entire life, but it just, I hate it the older I get, the heat, but...
Oh, that's weird. I'm the opposite. I'm loving it more the older I get. Shit. If I leave SoCal, I'm probably going to a desert somewhere. I might just move to Death Valley.
Awesome.
Give me good AC and I'll go, but otherwise,
right.
Nah. All right, also with us, it's Derek. What's up, Derek?
Rawr, zombies, cannibals.
Yeah.
What's going on, Mike?
Oh, nothing much at all. Just busy with life. Not much time for anything else. But I managed to watch some movies, which we'll be talking about today, courtesy of Derek. His picks up in the rotation, and we'll get into those in a little while. But how do we open up the show? With catching up with what we've been watching. So let's go ahead and do that. Venom, what the hell have you been watching?
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and bring a trio of 2025 movies to the table this time, since I wasn't able to have all new movies on the last episode. First movie I'm going to talk about is one that was just released in theaters no less than 2 weeks ago. Actually, less than 2 weeks ago as we record this episode. And it's one that we did not cover on Fresh Cuts because it was released the same weekend as Death of a Unicorn, which of course is an A24 movie. And, you know, at the very least, Mike and I tend to prioritize A24 on Fresh Cuts, you know, much to Don's chagrin, but what are you going to do? So the movie that I'm bringing to the table is, of course, The Woman in the Yard. Like I said, this dropped in theaters March 28th. It is a horror drama. It is directed by Jamie Colette Serra. It looks like it might be a directorial debut. Now, anyone who saw the trailer for this one knows that the setup is basically a single mother with her two kids are basically visited by a mysterious woman in black one day. She just basically appears on their lawn sitting on a bench. And then every time they like look away and then look back out the windows, she's suddenly closer to the house. Now, obviously, this is all discussed in the trailer, so no spoilers here. But yeah, I did get a chance to see this one. Overall, I enjoyed it. I will say that the pacing is a little slow. Be prepared for a slow burn. And I've said this to many people, and I think a lot of people kind of figured just by watching the trailer that the movie was going to be like this. But basically, this movie is very similar to another movie from the 2000s that I'm not going to mention here because it would be too much of a spoiler for The Woman in the Yard. But so why am I even bringing it up? I don't know. But the point is it reminded me too much of that other movie for me to really look at this as anything too original or too groundbreaking. It's a solid movie with some solid tension, some good atmosphere, some decent performances. You even get a couple of decent children performances here in the film. But like I said, overall, once you realize that this movie emulates another movie that we've already seen, a very popular horror movie that was kind of universally critically praised, it's kind of hard to get into this one. It's kind of the way I am. I've discussed this on Fresh Cuts multiple times. When I'm watching a movie and I realize that it's just heavily borrowing from another movie or another couple of movies, I tend to kind of start to lose interest in the movie I'm watching. And that did kind of happen with The Woman in the Yard. By the third act, when I started to put together that, oh, that's what's happening. And then once you get that ending, which is a very, unfortunately, in my opinion, a very unsatisfying ending, it kind of leaves you, wondering why the hell did I sit for an hour and 30 minutes to watch this? But I will say, like I said, at least it's only 90 minutes. Despite it only being 90 minutes, it still has some pacing issues. A lot of scenes of the family just kind of wondering, who is this woman? What does she want? Is mom telling the kids the truth? Are the kids being deceitful to the mom? Just like the whole back and forth that's happening. So overall, I'll say it's a solid film. I don't necessarily think that it's essential viewing in the theaters. It is still available in theaters as of right now. I just checked my AMC app and it is still playing. So if you are interested in slow burn dramatic horror, I would still recommend this one, even though, like I said, it is very derivative of a very popular horror film from, I want to say, 2009, that was also very popular and, like I said, pretty much universally praised by fans and critics. Well, maybe not universally praised by fans. There were a lot of people that hated that movie. But critics and a lot of fans, overall really praise that original film, which, again, I'm not going to mention here, so why the hell am I talking about it? So let's just cut this off as saying, yes, The Woman in the Yard, a solid effort, not essential viewing by any stretch of the imagination. I would say if you haven't seen it, wait for streaming. But if you're still, if you're looking to see something in the theaters, now that the warm weather's here, you want to get out of the house, you could do a lot worse than The Woman in the Yard. So I'll just ask my co-hosts if either of them have seen it. I know at least Mike saw it.
I did not see it.
Oh, wait, no, Mike didn't see it, right?
I have not seen it.
Oh, that's right. That was the one you didn't see. My bad.
He's like, nope, not seeing it. It sounds so stupid. Like, who the fuck puts a movie called The Woman in the Yard? Sounds like a fucking trap song.
To an extent, I mean, I mean, at least the title,
The Woman in the Yard.
It gives you exactly what it's kind of like Cocaine Bear. You know exactly what you're getting with the title, and The Woman in the Yard, again, you know exactly what you're getting. It's just the mystery of who the woman in the yard is. So, like I said, it's a solid film, but not essential viewing. So, go into it with your own discretion. And if you figure out what other movie I'm talking about, hit me up on the socials and tell me if you like that original film better, because I know I do.
Wait till it's on Peacock. The Woman in the Yard.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll do once it hits streaming, just because.
Yeah, like I think Mike would like it. Like Mike, I think you would at least, like I said, I mean, you don't seem to be bothered by, movies borrowing from other films, and if that's the case, then I think you might actually get more enjoyment out of this one than I did. But overall, like I said, once I realized that it's basically just a carbon copy of this other movie, I started to kind of lose interest. But it's still a solid movie.
All right, how about you, Derek?
Okay, so I've finally seen The Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, that movie fucking rocked my world.
That movie slaps.
Just from the fucking beginning with fucking Derek from Step Brothers. Of course, it's my idol, But
Adam Scott.
Yeah, he's fucking great. Like, I always love when he shows up in these movies.
Exactly, and he was only in the movie for 5 minutes, but it was such a great 5 minutes. I loved it.
Yeah, especially the end with the fucking flamethrower. Burn! Great, loved it. But anyways, this movie slaps hard. Like, this movie doesn't play around on what it is, and I love it for that. It's a great adaptation of the Stephen King source material, because it takes kind of like Stephen King's weird dark humor with it and makes it kind of funny because when you read about it, like it's about a killer toy monkey. It sounds fucking stupid, but it works. It has like that charm to like Maximum Overdrive did, like that kind of Stephen King humor, and I kind of dig that about that. Plus, then you get fucking Frodo Baggins as a fucking Jesus freak, which is great. Can't wait to see that side movie where he's like a cult leader.
Right?
That'd be awesome. But yeah, the monkey was fucking awesome. Osgood Perkins turned into one of my favorite directors, and you know because all his movies feel very different. You know, like he started out with like lots of slow burn atmospheric shit, and then he got into like that Seven territory where Long Legs, and this one is like weird dark humor. It's kind of like Ken Russell-y in a way, which I kind of dig, and yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next. I know, actually, because it's weird because I watched it on the streaming, and because I know that Mike said there was like something at the end of the credits, and it wasn't on the streaming release. So,
oh, that's lame. That's really lame.
Maybe there's like a rights issues involved that they couldn't like.
It's just a trailer.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's bad. That's bad. Anyway, yeah. Obviously, you know, we talked about the monkey on Fresh Cuts. It is, as of right now, my number one movie of 2025. I absolutely adore that film. I saw it 3 times in theaters. It is the most fun I've had in theater in a long time. And what's funny is that when it first came out, there were a lot of people that were complaining about it because they weren't sure what the tone of the film was. And I'm like, wait a minute. How can you watch that very first kill of the movie and not realize that you're watching a cartoon? The monkey is a live action cartoon. It is so over the top, so ridiculous. It might as well have been made by Hanna-Barbera. And I love it because of that. It is unapologetically over the top, ridiculous, gory, with a villain that I do have problems with as far as our human antagonist in the film. I have some problems with his motivation, but it's still, even the problems that I have with his motivation still make me chuckle. So it's like the only problem I had with the movie still makes me laugh. So to me, that's a success. That is a successful horror comedy. So yeah, I mean, great kills, great story, likable characters. I can't say enough good things about it. And yeah, I'm right there with Derek. I mean, Osgood is spectacular. I've been a fan of his since literally his first movie. I adored his pretty much every film he's done, even The Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which is probably his most contentious film as far as like some of the fans not
super
digging
fucking
it.
Slow burn.
It is ultra slow burn with not the most impactful ending, but I adore that film. I loved it so much just for its artistic quality. It is a gorgeous film. And like I said, I know a lot of people had problems with the pacing, the kind of limped ending, how the movie just kind of limps into its end, but I absolutely adored it. And of course, Long Legs was my number one movie of 2025, and now The Monkey, as of April 11th, is now the number one movie in 2025 for me. So let's hope I'm loving everything that Osgood is putting out. And by the way, Derek, I'm very sad that you didn't get to see that trailer after The Monkey, because even though there's no dialogue or anything in it, it is so atmospheric and creepy as shit. So I am really looking forward to it.
Oh, by the way, I also love the fact that Osgood Perkins actually acted in the movie too, because he started out as an actor, so it was kind of cool to see him act again.
And his character in this movie is spectacular. I absolutely love the uncle character. So funny. Even his death was funny. Everything about that movie I fucking love.
Yeah, it was great.
But man, I'm so looking forward to Osgood's next one, because it looks like it's going to be more along the lines of his more serious tone, like Blackcoat's Daughter and Long Legs.
Yeah, I heard it was very like Italian looking too, with some of like the shots.
It does. I mean, it gives the trailer gives away very little. Like, it might be a cult movie, it might be a captivity movie. We're not 100% sure.
Might be Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, for all we know.
Exactly. So, yeah, by far my number one of 2025 by a mile. So, yeah, I'll let Mike talk about The Monkey now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add. I think it's a super fun movie. If it's I'm trying to think like what else I've seen that we haven't covered on Fresh Cuts, but I think right now it's probably my favorite of the year. If not, it's like at least like the top three because I just feel like it's one of those movies where like yes, there's things that you can critique about it, but it's just a fun movie.
Yeah, like even like when I posted it, I saw it on Facebook. You know, you get like those. There's always that one guy critique. Ugh, didn't like it. Not gonna say any names, but you might marry men on my Evil Dead post. But anyways, you know, it's always like there's always that one guy. You know what I mean?
There's always got to be one edgelord out there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess if people just don't like any type of like comedy in their horror, like tonally or otherwise, but like still, I'm just like, it's fun, and the kills are really good, and the premise is nice and easy. Like, I don't know, it just seems like a very easily digestible movie. I know some people were thrown off because they're like, oh, this isn't the kind of movie I expect from Osgood Perkins. But it's like, so what? Like,
Exactly.
there's no rule saying a director has to make one type of movie their entire career.
Yeah, and
like I said,
good.
I was just gonna reiterate the whole thing about the confusion with the tone of this movie. It's like, again, how can you watch the opening scene and see what is basically an Itchy and Scratchy kill? Like, the opening scene is literally something out of Itchy and Scratchy. So how the hell do you watch that and then have confusion about the tone of the film? Like, I really got to question the viewer at that point.
I agree.
Yeah, also the second movie of the year, because, well, actually, that movie didn't come out. It comes out next fucking week. Fucking Sinners, where the fucking lead actor plays twins.
Yep. I always like performances like that when, you know, one actor or actress plays two roles. Obviously, I'm not counting the Suspiria remake. Fuck that movie, but still.
Oh, Jabba the Hutt at the end? Like, oh, chica,
Awesome.
Fucking Tilda Swinton as Jabba the Hutt was amazing.
Oh my god, too much. But yeah, especially in horror films when, you know, people like Karen Black was awesome in her turn as, you know, playing twin sisters back in Trilogy of Terror. So, hey, I usually like stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to Sinners.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, the trailer looks pretty good. The trailer makes it seem like
Lindo?
Yeah, the trailer makes it seem like it's going to be like a fun movie for sure.
Director of Wakanda Forever.
All right, so my movie or my first one is called Bloodstar, and it's listed as like a psychological horror, but I don't know. It's pretty like on the nose to me. It's basically a couple is driving through the state of New Mexico, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, desert, small town area. That's a setup, and they run into a cop or a sheriff, I think, that is wanting to go on a rampage. It will kind of remind you of like a Wolf Creek type movie, or one of those. I forgot the name of it, but there was one a few years back on Shudder with like that sniper.
I love Wolf Creek. Downrange.
Downrange, yeah. It's kind of along those lines where like there's just someone out in the middle of nowhere terrorizing these people, and you don't really know the motivation other than like, oh, it's just some like psycho tyrant guy.
But the show I wanted to do is Downrange and Carnage Park because they both involve snipers.
Nice. Yeah, so this one, like a small cast, it's a lower budget movie, but I think they get a lot out of what the budget is. It just looks like it's shot on location, so yeah, you definitely get the kind of feeling of isolation, and they don't have many people to turn to for help. So if you like that kind of movie, I would say check it out. It's on VOD currently, not in the theaters. So
Bloodstar.
Unless anyone else has seen it, then I'll go right back to Venom for your number 2.
Bloodstar.
Sounds like a Death Clock album. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, it does actually. Yeah, you're right.
All right. So my next movie, this one went straight to VOD. I believe this one dropped sometime in the middle of March. Now, this one is going to be a very divisive movie because this movie is, we just talked about the slow burn elements of some of Osgood Perkins' earlier films. This movie is the sheer definition of slow. And like I said, I think it's going to turn off most horror fans. I ended up loving this movie. It was different. It's like something that I hadn't really seen before. And this movie is called The House Was Not Hungry Then. Like I said, brand new movie, 2025. Unfortunately, it does not have a high rating on IMDb, but I would rate it very high. This movie is basically, I don't want to call it found footage because man, how can I explain this? Basically, the entire film is shot on security cameras. But the thing is that they're not like black and white and grainy. They're actually like full 4K, beautiful. Like the POV shots in the movie are supposed to represent something, and I'm not going to say what that is quite yet. Well, I'm not going to say it at all because I think some people might consider that a spoiler. But basically, this movie is the story of a woman who's back in her hometown for the first time in many years. She's here to visit her father, who is in hospice. He's pretty much on the brink of death, and she wants to visit him. Unfortunately, she is homeless, so when she comes back into town, she actually breaks into a house. And the house looks abandoned, but it's technically not. Basically what's happening is there's a man who is posing as a real estate agent, and he's bringing people to this house to look at the house, under the guise of, house buyers. Like, he wants to sell them the house. But then the house devours the people. Now, I say devours, don't think that we're going to get like a Houseu style movie where like the house has like facial features and mouths.
Is it like Deathbed?
I wouldn't even go that far. Like I said, I don't really want to get too far into this story, but I will say the movie takes place over like 4 cameras. Like there's 4 cameras in the house, and basically all the action has to happen in front of a camera. So, and they film it well. Well, there's not that much action to speak of, honestly. There's a little bit of a thrilling sequence in the 3rd act. But overall, like I said, this is a very, very weird movie that's completely done kind of like Security style. You could almost say first person. Hopefully that doesn't give away too much, but yeah, it's basically the entire movie is shot in POV, and at first it looks like security camera footage, but then it evolves into something else. So if that sounds intriguing, I would say go ahead and check it out. It's only an hour and 32 minutes long. It's currently available on VOD. I believe it's not expensive, like $3 or $4.99. It is very independent, very low budget. It is a nice house, and they do use some nice digital cameras, so the movie looks nice. But like I said, be prepared for an incredibly slow burn. I liken this movie to stuff like Presence from earlier this year. If you saw Presence, the film that it was basically a thriller that played in theaters earlier this year, where the entire movie takes place in the first person shot of the ghost, as opposed to, any of the protagonists in the movie. This movie is kind of similar to that, not really, but I think if you liked Presence, and another movie that it reminded me of is A Ghost Story. Not A Ghost Story from 1980, the UK horror film. I'm talking about the one from 2017 or 2018, starring Casey Affleck, where he literally dies at the beginning of the movie, and then we just follow him as a ghost for the rest of the movie. Again, very similar, very slow burn, not an exciting ending, a very poignant ending, but not the most exciting one. So like I said, Casper probably has more action than this movie does.
Yes, exactly.
So like I said, just be prepared. Be prepared for that slow burn. Be prepared to use your brain, because this movie is a thinker. There's some interesting things that occur in the third act, and then the way that the movie ends might leave you scratching your head. I absolutely adored it. So, like I said, the name of the film is The House Was Not Hungry Then. Like I said, available on VOD.
I haven't seen it, but I'm kind of glad you brought it up because I've actually like scrolled by it a few times and like read the premise, and I'm like, this kind of sounds like something I want to check out. But then like I would keep looking at the ratings, and I'm like, God, it's rated so low. And like I would check back like a few days later, because how sometimes when a movie's new, those first couple reviews will totally skew the rating. So I was like, well, I'll check back in a couple of days and see if the rating goes up, and it never did. So it's not that I'm I'm never gonna watch it, but I just kept putting it like on the back of the list. But after what you've described, I'm like, okay, I am going to watch it now.
Yeah, when I read the synopsis, the synopsis kind of reads like a haunted house, and you guys know I love supernatural horror. I mean, absolutely adore it. So, I was looking for something new to watch. I found it. I watched it. It's, like I said, it's definitely not for everyone. It is 100% not. In fact, I would say more than 50% of horror fans that watch it probably will not like it. So just be prepared. Like I said, if you like slow burn horror like Saint Maud, like a ghost story, like Presence from earlier this year, then I would strongly recommend The House Was Not Hungry Then. If you're not a fan of the slow burn, if you're not a fan of the almost found footage / documentary style POV camera work, then yeah, I would probably say it's not really something that you need to see. It's probably going to bore you to tears. But for me, I absolutely loved it. Great performances, a very small cast. I mean, there's only really like 3 or 4 people to speak of in this movie, with 2 of them getting the majority of the screen time. So yeah, I love this movie. It's probably not going to be a top 10 candidate by the end of the year, only because of its slow burn nature and its kind of, I don't want to say lackluster. I'm trying to think of a better word than lackluster, because I enjoyed the ending, but it's such a, like, how can I even put it? Like, people are just going to think it's dull. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm saying this is definitely a cerebral movie. You want to turn your brain on for this one. So I'll leave it at that and say you've been warned. If you like slow burns, check it out. If you don't, avoid it at all costs. So there you go.
All right. Back to you, Derek.
Okay, we're going to be talking about a movie known as Maniac Cop, which I watched. I
Never
actually
heard of it.
Because fucking, it's a funny story, because I watched Cannibal Apocaylpse on fucking Amazon Prime, and it came on after. It was one of the movies. It was kind of weird, the version on Amazon Prime, because it was like, it had a Troma Presents fucking logo. Like, really? Troma put this out? I didn't know that. It was fucking crazy. But anyways, yeah, Maniac Cop, William Lustig, Larry Cohen co-production, that aspect of it, I fucking love it, because they kind of borrow actors from both directors' movies. Like, that one actor that's in every Larry Cohen movie shows up in this movie, and it's kind of cool in that aspect. And you got like Tom Atkins as the main cop, and then Bruce Campbell comes later. And something happens halfway through the movie where that switches, and you're like, whoa, no one's safe in this movie. Which kind of shocked me the first time I ever seen Maniac Cop. It actually builds into more Maniac Cop 2 too, and they did that switch in that movie too, which was kind of cool in that aspect. But I kind of like the aspect of this dead cop that's so vengeful and coming back and striking vengeance and killing people and shit, and fucking, it's kind of a cool aspect. And he has like this baton with a fucking knife blade that comes out of it. I always thought that was fucking so cool. And you get like Richard Roundtree, young Bruce Campbell, and this too, like fucking it's fun. The score, like the main theme for Maniac Cop, I love with the whistle. Ooh, so cool. I love it. Maniac Cop 2, like, it's a great double feature. It'd actually be a fun trilogy show to do, because Maniac Cop 3, we know like the story behind that one too, especially if you have like the Blue Underground release, it has like that whole documentary where everybody, that movie was fucked from start. If you didn't hear that story with that movie, but yeah, fun little movie that I revisited recently on the quest of watching these movies.
I absolutely love Maniac Cop, but I'm going to admit something that I'm slightly ashamed of. I've never seen Maniac Cop 2. I've seen 3, never seen the second one. Literally have never seen it. So that's definitely something I got to rectify very soon. But
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And there's a 4K of that now too, right? Or
yeah,
is it
it's
just
weird. Yeah, we got the 4K of Maniac Cop 2 and 3. Which that's
just not the
Maniac,
original.
Yeah, Maniac Cop 1 there's no 4K because I don't know why. It's weird. Yeah, different company that released it too. Synapse released the Blu-ray of that one, I think.
I actually think 2 is the best one, and the weird thing is 2 almost makes having to watch 1 like optional, because it takes I won't tell you any of the new stuff about 2, but what it does is there's so many flashbacks to like all the good stuff that happens in 1. It's like you could almost throw on 2 as like your first Maniac Cop movie, and you're gonna get like brought up to speed.
Actually, weirdly enough, Maniac Cop 2 was the first one I've seen. Which was weird.
Right.
Yeah,
I saw Maniac Cop probably less than a year after it came out. I remember it being in the new releases in the video store I went to and grabbing it right away and absolutely loving it. Yeah. No idea why I haven't watched 2. I guess I just never got around to it.
Oh, you got it. Robert Davi, man.
Oh yeah, I'll fix it. I'll definitely fix it.
Yeah, I think Maniac Cop 3 was actually the first one I saw like randomly on cable one night, and I thought it was like okay, but I didn't think much of it, and it wasn't until like years later that I saw the first 2. I was like, oh, this shit's actually pretty good. Like, I should have tracked these ones down much sooner.
Especially like the whole scene in the fucking precinct and fucking Maniac Cop 2, one of the best fucking scenes ever.
Hell yeah. All right. So, let's see. My next one I will say is so this one I don't even remember how I first discovered it, because I think I was just searching for international films on Prime, because a lot of times what you'll notice for those that like have Prime is a deep library of movies, but it is absolutely horrible at like advertising what they have on there. So like what I'll do sometimes is I just go search for like by country, and just to see, okay, is there anything new within the last year that wasn't advertised? So I think I was looking for something specifically from this country, which is Argentina, and I either didn't find it or it was still like in rental, like it wasn't included with the Prime sub. But I came across this other one, and I think like the Argentinian title is like Imisis el Amor Mata, but the English title is Pussy Cake. So I don't know. Yeah, so I don't like. Maybe Venom can look at the the actual title and see if he can give him if that's like an accurate translation, or because sometimes when they go to American titles, it's like nothing to do with like what the actual original title was. But anyways, the setup of this one is basically this alt girl like rock band. They're on like their tour, and they're kind of struggling. They're like a smaller band, and I think they just got done with like a show, and they're like on their way to the next one, and it kind of turns into this like crazy zombie, like not apocalypse, but there's like zombies going on, and then it turns into a pretty fun like zombie movie. I would say they're somewhere between, like, they're not quite like rage zombies, but they're definitely not as slow and plotting as like a Romero zombie. So somewhere in between, but they're like, the makeup on them is really good. They're like gross. And so for the most of the movie, it's like a standard zombie movie. And then like, I think somewhere like the end of the second act, third act, there's this other thing introduced that I don't really want to get detailed into because I'm assuming you guys haven't seen it, but I would say that aspect of the movie is what will probably divide people because it takes it from just like a regular zombie movie to like, well, what the hell is this?
Is it
Well,
undead?
I mean, I just checked the translation of the original title, and if I say it, I think it's going to give away the element that Mike's talking about. So I don't know if you
Okay.
actually want me to say it.
No, it's okay.
Tentacles?
Like, yeah, you don't have to.
Nope. It's still gross, but not that gross.
Oh, no, hentai? Oh.
No hentai. No, it's Spanish. It's Spanish. It's a Spanish word.
Okay.
Emises. Which all my Spanish brothers and sisters know what I'm saying right now, and they're probably, throwing up in their mouth a little bit too.
Oh,
Yeah, but
I'll tell you after the show, Derek.
okay. On break, tell me.
But anyways, like, yeah, overall, I thought this was really fun. It's listed as 2021 on IMDb. I think on Prime it was listed as like 22 or 23, just because they might be going by when it was actually available in America. It sucks that it's not like new, because if it would have been like brand new, or at least this year, I would have been like, let's do it for fresh cuts on a non-theatrical. But it's not new enough for that. But I still recommend it. Yeah, and I had no idea this movie even existed. So like that's why I recommend like to people just run searches on some of these services, because they have a lot more than like they put on their front pages. That's the thing. But you just gotta
big time.
search for stuff.
Yeah, Prime is the worst. Their UI is probably the worst of all the streaming apps.
Oh,
Usually what I do with Prime is I'll just look up 2025 horror. And it'll come up with a big list, but they still won't all be 2025. So you have to be careful.
Oh, they have
and
the
yeah, they're really bad about their dates on Prime. But yeah, because that's what I did last night. I was actually looking for something new, and I did exactly that. I just looked up 2025 horror, and about half the movies on the list were not 2025. They were like 2022, 2023. There were still a lot of 2025 on there, so I did have options, but a lot of it's stuff that we've already watched already. So
Yeah, plus they have like sometimes the shittiest quality of older movies too, like, which is mind blowing. Like that's why I actually dug up my fucking Maniac Cop 2 4Ks, because Maniac Cop 2 is gonna play right on Prime, and it's like a fucking VHS fucking shadow box rip. I hate that shit. They should have like the. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Prime is really bad when it comes to the quality of indie horror. Like I don't know if they're getting like VHS masters or DVD masters, but it's like they're not getting like beautiful digital masters, because a lot of the indie found footage on Prime doesn't look very good. And I know some of that goes to the production too.
Yeah.
But some of it is the streaming quality. And it's like, man, Amazon, it's great that you're willing to carry all of this indie stuff, but give it the respect it deserves,
Oh, by the way, sometimes with their subscriptions, they fucking bullshit it, because AMC, I did the AMC Plus on fucking Amazon Prime, because I have a what's it called, Paramount Plus through them, so I'm like, I might as well just get this through this, because then I'll have it all on one fucking thing, you know what I mean? So keep fucking going through different apps and shit, but fucking it's fucking, they like take movies off and you have to actually stream to Shudder. I'm like, I already have fucking, why would I want to have this movie if it's not gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Prime, like I said, I mean, with Prime, streaming is not their number one business. It's not like Netflix or Hulu or Max where that's their main thing. With Prime, they're doing so much other stuff. Even Prime Video is not a big priority at Amazon. So, like I said, I'm glad that they support indie filmmaking, because they'll put any cheap ass movie on their service. But sometimes they'll just upload it at such a shitty bit rate that it just adds to the low quality of the film, and that's unfortunate because the movies look bad enough already. They don't need your help.
Yeah, especially if like Tubi has a better transfer on there. I'm like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Brian?
what the fuck? Yeah.
Really, I'm paying $130 a year for Prime, and I'm paying nothing for Tubi, but they're beating your video quality. That's questionable.
And most of the movies are standard definition. They look better sometimes. It's fucking weird.
That's valid. No, it's true. Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish Prime, because it feels like they haven't updated their UI in like so long. Like, it just get someone in there that knows what they're doing and clean it up, and it feels like its response time is like slow compared to other ones too. Like when you're typing in stuff.
The only time I usually go on there is to watch shit on Paramount Plus usually, because all that shit's usually good for me, But other than that.
Yeah, I got all my apps separately because I didn't want to go through Prime. I was just so worried that if Prime fucks up, I'm not gonna be able to get into any of my other apps. So I just do it all separate. Plus, I mean, I do them as they come out. Like, I'm one of those guys who gets streaming apps like as soon as they're announced. Hulu and Max and Disney Plus. Like as soon as those were announced, I was like first in line and shit. I'm kind of a corporate whore, so yeah.
All right. Back to you, Venom.
All right. So for my last movie of the episode of what we've been watching, I wanted to bring in something that's been kind of a trend over the last few years. Now, as many of you know, Disney and companies like Disney are starting to lose their licenses, their trademarks for a lot of their older properties. For example, Popeye the Sailor Man, Steamboat Willie, Winnie the Pooh. These are all properties that are now in the public domain. Yes, you can make a Mickey Mouse movie if you want right now. It can't be Mickey Mouse. It has to be Steamboat Willie. They didn't lose the copyright to Mickey Mouse, just to Steamboat Willie specifically. That's why we're getting all these Steamboat Willie movies. So, of course, the movie that I'm bringing to the table is the latest of the Steamboat Willie movies. But the difference with this one is that this one is actually playing in theaters, and it actually stars a veteran of the genre. Yes, Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, plays Steamboat Mickey in the latest movie called Screamboat. Screamboat just dropped in theaters last week. I was able to see it last week. I got a funny story. I actually went to a Q&A. Most of the cast, the director, the writer, they were all there. Art the Clown wasn't there, but like all the the girls that were in the movie were there. I had to pee so bad when the movie ended that I took off as soon as the credits started. The line, and of course it was a Saturday night, so the line at the men's room was so long that it took me over 25 minutes to go to the bathroom. By the time I got back to the theater, the Q&A was over. I fucking missed it because of my damn bladder. So yeah, point is, I saw Screamboat. My overall thoughts are that this is easily the best of the Steamboat Willie horror movies that we've gotten, but the bar is not very high either. Like, we've gotten, on the last episode of this show, I talked about Mouse of Horrors, and Mouse of Horrors is my least favorite movie of the year. It was just absolute trash. This one, Screamboat, is actually mildly fun. Like, yes, it's going to be the same shitty characters, guilty pleasure kills, vapid, stupid women, douchebag guys, blah, blah, blah. But the one thing that I kind of liked that they did in this movie is that Steamboat Willie is actual size. He's not human size. He's literally like 2 feet tall. He's like 2 or 3 feet tall. He's the size he was like in the cartoon, in the original Steamboat Willie cartoon when he's driving the boat. That's literally how big Steamboat Willie is in this movie.
Oh my God.
Oh, and yeah, exactly. Oh my God is the correct reaction, because some of the kills are so ridiculous because of him being so small. You tend to question, how is this little guy?
Wolverine.
Kinda. How is this little guy just absolutely owning all of these grown-ass men? It doesn't make sense. But like I said, we get some gory kills, probably some of the goriest kills in, not counting Winnie the Pooh, the Blood and Honey movies, but as far as like all the rest of these kind of Disney-inspired horror films, this one is by far the bloodiest and the most fun. Like I said, not counting Winnie the Pooh. In my opinion, the Winnie the Pooh movies are still the best of this new subgenre of horror, the Disney-inspired horror. So, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's even still playing in theaters as of right now. It might have only gotten like a 1 week thing, and it might have been a special thing out here in LA, because I went to one that had a Q&A, but not every, obviously they weren't all Q&A screeners. So it did play out here for at least a week. And like I said, I had fun with it. Yes, there's a lot of shitty characters. Yes, you're going to roll your eyes a lot at the ridiculousness of the characters, the stupid decision making of the characters. But overall, the gore, the kills, the overall storyline, even the animated sequence. There's a cool animated sequence in this movie where they actually bring up Walt Disney by name. My friends, I was actually worried that this production was going to get sued because they reference so many Disney movies that are not in public domain yet. Like they reference Beauty and the Beast. They reference like some of their older live action stuff, like the Apple Dumpling Gang, and like the references in this movie is a Disney lover's dream. Like you're not going to go more than 5 minutes without noticing, I don't know, like a poster on the wall for the Goofy movie or something. Like there are so many references. There's so many Disney references in this. I honestly thought that they were probably going to get sued, but and like I said, I missed the Q&A, or else I would have asked. But like I said, overall, fun movie, fun kills. I'm not going to go so far as to say that it's a quote-unquote good movie. It's a silly slasher. It takes place entirely on the Staten Island Ferry, which, for those who don't know, for Saturday Night Live fans, the Staten Island Ferry is currently owned by Colin Jost and Pete Davidson. They co-own the Staten Island Ferry. So they obviously had to give permission for this movie to be shot on the ferry. I think it's the real ferry. It looks like New York, and I've been on the Staten Island Ferry, and from what I remember of it, that does kind of look similar. So I just thought it was kind of funny that, SNL has a very indirect tie to this movie. So that was interesting. But yeah, like I said, if you're into dumb, silly, gory movies, then I would say check out Screamboat. Like I said, potentially, not even potentially, it is the best of the Screamboat Willie horror movies that we've gotten. We've gotten what? I Love Willie, Mouse of Horrors. We've gotten at least 5 or 6 of them. And same thing with the Popeye. Now, like 2025 is the year of Popeye. We've already gotten 4 Popeye horror movies this year. I've seen 3 of them. I actually was going to watch the last one tonight. Though I will say, just as an added review, if you're interested in a Popeye horror movie, Popeye the Slayer Man is probably the best one of the Popeye movies. There's Popeye's Revenge, Popeye the Slayer Man, Shiver Me Timbers.
Hell, there's one coming out being made now with one of our friends in it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, like once these copyrights expired, I mean, it's free reign, my friends. Like, I'm not exaggerating. These characters are public domain now. You could make a Winnie the Pooh porn if you want to, and Disney couldn't do shit about it.
Oh God, there's gonna be a lot of.
I'm sure it's already happened.
A lot of honey in that one.
That would be something else than honey. Anyway,
I'm just waiting for Goofy to go fucking copyright so we can get that horror movie.
Right? I think if I remember correctly, I think Donald Duck is next. I think in 2 years Disney loses the Donald Duck copyright. So
New York Ripper is coming alive.
Oh no! We finally get the true New York Ripper sequel.
Dude, on Shudder's synopsis for New York Ripper, it literally says that. I don't know if you've seen it. It says what is it, like a serial killer with the voice of Donald Duck is stalking. I was
awesome.
like, that's hilarious.
It's crazy because it's not even like because his first fucking Donald Duck reference is in Don't Torture a Duckling, because one of the characters
Right.
holds a Donald Duck, and it's fucking awesome.
Maybe this guy will make a Donald Duck horror movie. He seems to really like Donald Duck, so maybe he's waiting for a couple more years when they lose that copyright.
Hell, even Donald Duck was on Hot Ones recently.
Oh, that's right. So was Peter Griffin, I think. Like, it's really weird that Hot One has like animated characters on there now.
Yeah,
That's freaking me out.
I was kind of blown away. Like,
Oh, and Venom. Did you see Venom was on Hot Ones?
Yes, Venom.
That was funny. I don't care. I don't care. Talk all the shit you want about the 3 Venom movies. I fucking love them. I don't care. It's a guilty pleasure. Whatever.
I loved Part 3. I don't give a fuck to hate it.
Dude, it's my favorite one. I thought the 3rd one was spectacular. And I know a lot of people were bitching because there's no true villain, because we don't really get to, I mean, we barely get to see, what's his face? So a lot of people were bitching that it's just Venom versus a bunch of monsters, but it's like, but there's a lot more
lore, because those creatures are those creatures are in Venom lore, you know.
So, like I said, if anybody doesn't like the Venom movies, I'm not going to argue with you. I recognize that they're not great. They're not an MCU movie. They're not the Avengers Endgame by any stretch. But because of who I am, because of my love of Venom, multiple Venom tattoos on me, obviously I absolutely love them. So yeah.
We might be seeing Venom and Spider-Man Brand New Day coming soon.
Finally, we better. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for Venom to enter the MCU. I need something to wash the taste of Topher Grace's Venom out of my mouth. Even though Tom has done an admirable job over 3 movies, I still have that nasty taste in my mouth of Topher Grace's Venom, and how fucking pissed off I was walking out of the theater at Spider-Man 3. I literally wanted to start a mass murder. I was pissed off.
He was like the skinniest Venom ever.
So bad. Let's get off the MCU. Let's get back to horror before I get even more angry.
Mike's getting angry, as mentioned.
Yeah, Mike doesn't like fun, so we should move on.
I'm just drifting out into space.
Speaking of movies, I went to see fucking Vampire Hunter D in the theaters yesterday.
I'm going on Sunday.
For its 40th anniversary, it was fucking awesome. I was kind of in like awe seeing it on the big screen, because I loved it. Like the first time I seen it, I had the Blu-ray, the Sentai arts, and that looks great. But seeing it on like a fucking huge screen with people was fucking kind of a surreal experience. And plus, like, it was super loud. It was fucking awesome. And,
yeah. And Princess Mononoke too, which obviously Derek and I have already discussed, and we'll be discussing more in depth later on. But yeah, it's so great to see all these anniversary screenings of movies that maybe you didn't have a chance to see the first time around. Same with me. I never saw Vampire Hunter D in a theater before this coming Sunday. I still haven't technically, but I have my ticket, so I'm going to see it Sunday. But I did see Princess Mononoke in IMAX last week too, and that was spectacular. But obviously, me and Derek are going to get more into details on that on another show.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know. I don't really have a third one.
What the fuck, Michael?
You want to talk about the movie I hate. You want to talk about
which one?
The movie that I went crazy about this weekend. I literally was so fucking pissed off at this movie.
Movie pissed me. You know, movie pissed me off. Fucking Jenny Penn. I fucking shut that off. I fuck this movie.
Dude, most unrealistic nursing home on the planet.
Yo, those people would all have been fucking fired.
Right? Exactly. Oh my god. What people?
Letting this guy get away with all this shit. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, there was like something underneath the surface that the director didn't reveal to us that was happening. I'm convinced of it, that there was something else happening that,
like, he was actually the main doctor. He was in charge.
Well, I mean, we get that reveal, which I won't spoil here, but we get that reveal there in the third act on that movie. But it it's almost like the director thought that reveal would be explanation enough, and it's not. I need more explanation. Like, why is the staff so complicit with everything this guy is doing? You imply what the answer is, but, you know, sometimes I like to be spoon-fed, so I don't know. But yeah, like I said on the Fresh Cuts review, I worked at a nursing home all the way back in 1991. And in 1991, we had cameras in every room, cameras in every hallway, and a security guard on every floor. It was a 3-level nursing home. There was 3 floors. We had a security guard at every floor, plus orderlies, plus a nursing staff all night. So as I was just like Derek, I'm watching The Rule of Jenny Penn, and I'm just seething in my seat because this is the most unrealistic fucking nursing home I've ever seen in my life.
And if it is, I'm never going to one.
Oh, exactly. And it's like, and I know we're supposed to suspend disbelief when you watch a movie, but there's always those times where you watch a fictional movie about a real life topic that you actually know something about. And it just takes you completely out of the movie how incorrect they are or how bad they're portraying something or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, the fact that I worked at a nursing home all the way back in 1991, and what's that, fucking 34 years ago? And they still had better security than this nursing home in this movie in 2025? Nah, fuck that.
In New Zealand, though, they must be way behind in technology. It's like that country. It's like that country in Eurotrip, where they finally get like Magnum PI and shit.
Right. Awesome. Oh man. Sorry, Mike. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I mean, I went through the Universal Monsters 4K collection. Which is funny because I actually bought them all individually because there was a bunch on sale during the holidays. So I finally
buy
got
those.
around.
I've been buying them streaming it because I own those movies in fucking multiple sets already. Yeah. So it's like,
but they're as good as ever. You know what? Which one that I hadn't seen in a long time and I was actually very impressed was Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Fucking Jack Arnold's one of the best directors ever, man.
I had just forgot like how good just the entire movie is because like obviously the stuff with the creature itself is like well done and looks good, but then like just the whole expedition idea and how the entire movie is kind of like
it's like a fucking anaconda. It's the anaconda of its era, man.
Yeah, it's
first major Hollywood release that had extensive underwater scenes. I mean, that movie's historic, absolutely. And we talked about it on Creature Comforts, and yeah, Julie Adams, I love you. I don't care that you're 90 now. I still love you.
Yeah, she's great.
So you didn't like Hell of a Summer? There, I said.
God damn it!
I didn't see it.
I mean, listen, I don't want to deter anybody from seeing it. You might like it. In fact, I guarantee anyone who sees it is going to like it more than I did because I hated every fucking second of that movie. I hated every character in it. I hated every minute that I had to sit in that theater seat. I wanted to leave so bad, but when I was in the theater watching it, there was still a chance that it was going to be our Fresh Cuts review for the week. So I'm like, I can't leave. I can't walk out of a movie that I'm going to review. And then we decided to review something else. And I realized, God damn it, I spent an hour and 45 minutes in the theater watching that fucking piece of shit and written and directed by Finn Wolfhard.
Could go a Black Christmas fucking review.
Oh shit.
Dude, I will watch Black Christmas 2019 40 times before I ever watch Hell of a Summer one more time. That's how much I fucking hated Hell of a Summer. Listen, if we would have reviewed Hell of a Summer, it would have been an hour and a half of me yelling into my microphone at how much I fucking hate everyone in that movie and I want them all to get cancer and die as painfully as possible. Fuck you, Finn Wolfhard. Just fuck you.
Oh, yeah. Venom's can't wait till Vecna kills in season 5.
I actually just remembered one that I did watch. I just forgot to write it down. Dead Talent Society, which is on Netflix. Which I was kind of surprised that it went straight to Netflix because last year it got pretty good buzz, and they didn't announce like it didn't. I don't think they announced like any licensing deals to like tell people, hey, it's going straight to VOD. But then like a couple of weeks ago, out of nowhere, it was like, oh, it will be hitting Netflix like whatever that Friday was. So I watched it and I really liked it. The main reason I didn't push hard for it for fresh cuts is because I think most people would put this more in the comedy category. Like there is like ghosts and poltergeist and like stuff revolving that, but like it's to me it plays totally more as a comedy. Like I'd probably still be fine covering it if like we were out of choices, just because like I would say it's like something like a Beetlejuice where like some people would cover that on a horror show even though nothing in the movie Beetlejuice is really played for like scares, but there's technically ghosts. So anyways, the synopsis is more or less like it. When you die, you go to like there's like an actual underworld that almost is kind of like Earth, or the Earth that we know, but it's like ghosts, and they have competitions to be like the spookiest ghost, or do the best haunts, or do the best recreations of urban legends, scaring like the living. So that's kind of like the setup, but then of course they have all their turmoil between characters and competition and stuff like that. And I thought it was really good. Like, it definitely, I can see why it had the buzz at the festival circuits last year. And I just think the fact that I went straight to Netflix with a little announcement that it's kind of flying under the radar now, but I think people will slowly discover it as as it sits on the streaming service longer. People will start randomly come across it, but I recommend it. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't like love it by any stretch, but I mean, I had a good time. I chuckled a few times. I wouldn't call it like side-splittingly funny by any stretch, but overall, yeah, I thought it was a nice little concept, well executed. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of the horror. Obviously, I think that's generally my complaint on every horror comedy. I wish there was a little bit more horror, other than the monkey. The monkey's probably the only one that actually satisfies my horror lust for a horror comedy. But I still had a good time with this one. Yeah, Mike's correct. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so. Yeah, I had to throw in that at the last minute because it just popped back in my head like, oh, yeah, duh. There is actually one I saw.
I had actually forgotten I watched it, too. I forgot to put it on my list. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, that tends to happen. Like, whenever we're recording, when, like, we postpone a time or two, I look at my list and it's like, damn, some of these I watched, like, a month ago and, like, I forgot. Or I forget to add, like, newer ones. So that was the case with that. But anyways.
Well, I mean, with me, I was just talking about all of the Disney inspired horror movies that are coming out. I've already forgotten most of the Popeye movies. Like they just kind of mold. They turn into one big like mishmash of a movie, and I start to forget, was that kill from Popeye's Revenge or from Shiver Me Timbers? Like I said, Popeye the Slayer Man's the only one I really enjoyed, and I have enjoyed in quotations. I mildly enjoyed it.
All right, as far as news goes, it looks like Saw 11 is canceled. I don't know why. I mean, it's a franchise that makes money.
Is it like Army Hammered canceled or like?
I mean, I have a suspicion when they say canceled, it's like temporarily canceled. Because to me, it's like it's a franchise that makes money.
Right. Usually when they say canceled, it just means that they're not going to shoot the script that they currently had. So they're probably just going to scrap it, get a new writer, have somebody write another script, another screenplay for 11. And then maybe if they like that, the Saw 11 that was already written, that has been canceled. We will not be getting that version. But it might be a good thing, too, if they canceled it, especially after Saw X was so great. You don't want to follow up with a lackluster, 11th chapter.
Yeah, there's Spiral again. You know what I mean?
fucking Spiral. Ugh, Chris Rock, what the fuck?
That's why Will Smith slapped him.
That's funny. I would have slapped him for Spiral. Shit.
John Carpenter got a star on the
Yay!
name. I will say that's definitely a more
That's about 30
symbolic
years
thing
too
than
late.
anything. Yeah.
He should have gotten it in the 90s. After the run of movies that Carpenter had in the 80s, he should have gotten that star in the 90s. There was no reason not to.
Yeah, it's way overdue. His resume is just incredible. He definitely deserves it. I was glad to see some of his former colleagues, Kurt Russell, Keith David showed up.
Yeah.
For it. That's cool.
And
it's
then Robert
more of a
Englund.
ceremonial thing. Yeah.
Robert is getting
ceremonial
one.
or anything else, because if you actually go down and walk where like most of the stars are, it's like literally just a regular old sidewalk, but with the Hollywood stars.
No, the only people that care about the Walk of Fame are tourists. Like when I'm downtown, I barely even look down. It's not a big deal to me. You know what I mean? Like the first year I was here, it was like ooh and ah, but yeah, after about
the substance, you know.
Oh yeah, I'll go with that. More like the end of the substance, where she's just a stain on her star. Oh, by the way, did you guys see that somebody vandalized Donald Trump's star again? Like just last week, they destroyed it. I'm sorry. I hate to bring up politics. I hate doing that, but I get a slight guilty pleasure out of hearing that, especially the picture. The picture is hysterical. Like they took a pickaxe to it and just destroyed it. It was like in shambles. It was amazing.
Why does he even have a star for his role in Home Alone 2? Like, his game show thing, whatever that was. Oh, The Apprentice, was it?
Yeah, that. Because he's in as a TV star. He's got the TV logo on his star, on his star. So he's in for television.
Okay, yeah.
Which I mean, whatever. But yeah, I'm sorry, folks. If we have any Republican fans out there, I don't hate you. I assure you, I just hate your president.
Yeah, I was just asking. Yeah, my question wasn't even political. I was just curious because I know The Apprentice was a popular show, but I didn't know like a kind of like a reality competition TV show was enough to get you one. But maybe if it's,
I'm sure, I'm sure they took into account, his philanthropy and the businesses and everything else. Blah, blah, blah.
To the Rascals.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's get out of here. Oh, we're getting a Predator animated movie. I'm excited for this. It looks like Predator Killer of Killers is dropping in June, and it's going to be the first animated Predator full-length feature, so I am excited.
It looks like it's going to be Predators battling different warriors from different eras and shit. Yeah. That's awesome. There's a Devil May Cry anime that's on Netflix right now.
With Kevin Conroy in it.
Yep. Yeah, I know. So sad. I haven't watched it yet for that exact reason. I don't know. I'm gonna get sad.
Are you watching Justice League 3? Crisis?
I'm not a big Justice League fan anyway. Yeah.
It was great. His last line was great though. Being Batman.
Are you super hyped for their new I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Fuck no.
Nope.
I'm not hyped for that.
I'm not hyped for the new Final Destination. It's just, and I'm definitely not for the next Scream movie if we even get it. I don't know. Some franchises, and this is coming from a Friday the 13th franchise fan, a franchise that went way longer than it probably should have. But yeah, some horror franchises really need to stop. Like, I mean, how much more creative can you get with Final Destination? Yeah, you're eventually they're going to send those kids up to space.
It's going to change it to the Final Frontier destination. Yeah, I don't understand. Well, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Actually, I think it's a sequel, not a remake. Because Jennifer Hewitt. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, okay.
Still, I don't think it. I mean, was anybody asking for this?
No. Well,
were millennials clamoring for another? I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Our friend, our Crystal.
Yeah.
Crystal Lake shop friend.
Well, she's excited for Scream.
Yeah, I mean, Scream. I would call Scream a little more understandable because they've been consistently still making them. But
Yeah.
like, I know what you did
And
last
the
time.
last
I'm
one
just
was
like,
actually like I enjoyed it. Like I mean,
Yeah, the last
Scream
I know you
6
did
might be
last
my
summer
second
was like
favorite
a
Scream.
made for fucking TV movie or some bullshit.
Yeah, and the other franchise sequel supposedly coming is Gremlins, which I'm just like, okay, Chris Columbus sounds like he's back, which is good, but is it gonna be puppets or is it gonna like? Because if it's not, then it's like, why do you even want to do it then?
Or it's gonna be like a mixture, like the new Ghostbusters, where it's practical with like mixed with like modern effects. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. Mike. I'm just trying to hope. There's some hope.
Hope
maybe
against
something,
hope.
You know.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I always leave
You always
room
hate it
for
before it happens, though. You got give it
no.
hope.
I don't
Skeptics.
hate.
I like
I
that.
just don't have enthusiasm, but I always leave room for it to prove me wrong. Like if it comes out and I see it and I'm like, oh, this is good, I'll say it's good. It's just my intuition on these things is usually right because franchise sequels that come 20 years plus, usually there's a reason they haven't made one in so long. Which the last one I got for at least this topic looks like they're making another Beetlejuice sequel, which I don't know why after the one we just got, but
I didn't hate the last one. It wasn't that great, but I didn't hate it.
the
I don't think we need another one.
to me it just reeked of like, as I'm sitting there watching it, I was like, this is the reason we didn't get one for all this time, because it just felt like a movie that like Burton really had no good idea for like what to do next, so he just never did it. And then maybe eventually like the money being offered was right, so he was like, okay, I'll figure out something and I'll put it together. But I'm just like, this doesn't feel inspired. Like, does this really feel like a story that he was like waiting to like get out there? No.
It definitely
And
was
I hated what they did with Lydia Deetz's character. It made no sense to me.
What can you
Like
do?
I said, I didn't hate it.
What can you do?
I didn't
Make
love
a better
it,
movie
but
or
I
don't
didn't hate
make
it.
one.
It wasn't the worst shit ever, but you know, Danny DeVito made me happy when he popped up for a cameo.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. I mean, there was little parts of the movie that made me smile. So for whatever
the
it's
whole
worth.
the whole
I mean,
Mario Bava.
did we
Bava
need it?
sequence?
No.
You know, the whole like scene where it's like Mario Bava, like in the goes back in the plague era. It was kind of cool.
That's what I mean. There's cool aspects to the film. I don't think it was necessary.
I like how they
and this is
handled
coming
the fucking
from a diehard Beetlejuice fan.
I liked how they handled the rapist guy, though.
JJ.
No, fuck, the actor who played her dad.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones.
Oh yeah, JJ. Yeah.
I was trying to avoid the full name, but there we go.
Yeah.
Mr. What's his name from Ferris?
He's just
Bueller.
I was laughing every time that character came on screen, where like because he got eaten by a shark. It was
yeah.
Like, be happy. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Yeah, it could be, and that might be what's coming next. It's something even worse.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice 3. Search for more money.
Or maybe it's Beetlejuice is what they're gonna call it.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they'll just follow through with Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii this time.
We got a few new movie announcements this week. They also announced a new Gremlins movie is coming. We're finally getting Gremlins 3, but again, did we need it? Did we ask for it? Meh. Am I still going to see it? Fuck yeah. And then Happy Death Day 3 was also announced, which I think we all could have guessed was coming. The first two movies were fairly successful. The first one more so than the second one, but I still kind of expected
liked
them.
The first one a lot more than I expected. I wasn't really that.
What are you guys talking about? Sorry, I had an incident real quick.
Happy Death Day 3 got announced as well. And yeah, we were just talking about.
Yeah,
I kind of expected it,
Yeah, I was just saying I liked the first one a lot more than I expected, but the second one, I felt like the second one was my worst fears about what the first one was gonna be.
Is he supposed
the
to
second
be like
one
a
wasn't even
fucking
a horror
arachnophobia movie too? That guy?
I think that got canceled.
Oh, it got canceled like Army Hammer. Fuck.
I think so.
No, the real canceled.
It got squished.
Yeah.
So like James Woods canceled.
And then one tiny little piece of historical news that probably isn't going to mean anything to 99.9% of the people listening, but if you are a diehard Shining fan like I am, you might actually care about this. For years, that final shot at the end of The Shining, where Jack Nicholson is there with with the party back in July 4th, 1921. For the longest time, that photo, the real photo, not the one with Jack in it, but the real photo had been lost to time. No one knew where that original photo was. The only version of that photo that existed was the one at the end of The Shining. Well, just this week, it was announced that the Getty Center out here in California actually found that picture, the original picture from the July 4th ball, 1921. And if you go to Getty Archive on Instagram, you'll be able to look at the picture. And, obviously, to most of us, it doesn't matter. I am a huge Shining fan, and I always wondered who the guy was that Jack replaces. And we finally found out that it was Alistair Spark, a retired ballroom dancer from London. Like I said, it's meaningless information, but I am a Shining stan. I absolutely adore that film, so I was excited when I saw the picture. So Getty Archive. That
would have been amazing if it was O'Grady on there.
Oh God, or if Shelley was like in the background or something.
Oh, that'd be nuts.
Oh man, but yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Like I said, 99.9% of you won't care, but I do, so I figured I'll voice it. And I think that's all that I have anyway, unless you got anything else, Mike.
Nope, just a bunch of movie sequel announcements.
My
a lot of.
My fake news of the day is my dog attacked me. That's why I was away.
Oh, that always happens. Every dog attacks their owner at least once. It's kind of like a rule of dog ownership.
She's the Hound of the Baskervilles. That's her new nickname.
Yeah, it's weird. It's worse if you have like a Doberman Pinscher or like one of those aggressive dog breeds, because they could actually hurt you. But yeah, from what I understand, and my wife is a veterinarian, so I'm getting this from the horse's mouth, that yes, pretty much every single dog will at some point attack its owner. Not like it's trying to kill you. It's just that you did something that pissed it off, and he's trying to tell you, hey, stop doing that.
Like the Disney movie. All dogs attack their owners.
There you go.
Real movie?
No.
All dogs go to hell.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Oh man.
Right. Oh yeah,
That's
they did
Disney
announce
talk.
Robert Eggers is making that werewolf movie, and of course it's spelled werewolf or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's Robert Eggers, so obviously I'm mildly excited for it.
Willem
I don't know
Dafoe
that we
will
really
be in
need
it.
another werewolf movie, but
That's
I'm
all
not
that
going to complain.
If I get naked Willem Dafoe turn into a werewolf, that'd be amazing.
The thing with
Or
Eggers
Ralph
is
Ineson.
the thing is like Eggers' talent level is so high that like I'm like, don't waste it on just remaking stuff, because like
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that was my biggest complaint of Nosferatu, that he just redid the original story. He didn't really change anything. I would have liked to have seen him make the story his own. Like I tend to not like when directors do that, when they try to take something that's already been made and change the story and make it their own, but they're not Robert Eggers. Like, I would have liked to have seen Eggers do something original with Nosferatu. I'm not complaining, mind you. It was still my number 3 movie of the year, even with
it was like
that
my
major
number 4
complaint.
or 5,
Exactly. So, I mean, but yeah, Mike is 100% correct. I want Eggers back on original content. It's nice to do remakes and sequels, because that's where the money is if you're a Hollywood director. the money is in remakes and, you know, sequels and prequels and all that shit. But I mean, I want Eggers back doing original content. I want him to go along more Ari Aster's path than the path that he's kind of laying for himself now. But we'll see. Like I said, either way, Eggers is an absolute auteur. So whatever.
Is he doing
makes,
like Labyrinth too? That's not.
That was something I had heard too. But I mean, all the talk's been about that werewolf movie for the last month or so.
Imagine we just wake up to Robert Eggers is announced the direct Maniac Cop.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, interesting is the word.
Bill Skarsgård.
I don't know if it would
Matt
be
Cordell.
good necessarily.
One of the Skarsgårds would be in it.
All right, Derek, what movies are we talking about when we get back from our break?
So, yeah, I did like a weird mixture. I mixed like a cannibal movie with a zombie movie. What one's Italian. Well, they both look like kind of like have Italian influence, even though like the first movie is directed by a Spanish director. And like there's some people that worked on other like Italian shit on that one. But then we also have like another one where it's like cannibals, kind of like it's like the First Blood and Cannibal Holocaust had a baby. That's what I would kind of call cannibals in the streets.
Yeah, contagious cannibalism.
yeah, like there's a contagion in both movies, kind of like the way that I would put it, and quiet rogue. Anyways, yeah, we're doing Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, aka The Living Dead in the Manchester Morgue, and we're doing Cannibal Apocalypse, or as it's known on IMDb, Cannibal in the Streets. These movies always have cool, badass, different names. That's funny though. It's that's what it is though. It's cannibals actually on the streets.
No, I understand, but that's such
like
a weird title, Cannibals in the Streets.
It's like The Woman in the Yacht.
Cannibal in the Streets, Lover in the Sheets.
Yeah. Woman in the Yacht, Paying in the Cod. On that note, I got to deal with a rogue situation. So we're going to take a little break. We'll be right back.
Anyone about?
Hey! You've shot us in!
My fault, Sergeant, if Christ and saints are out of fashion. Satan's all the rage these days.
Listen, boy, you keep getting on my nerves, and I'm going to give you another kind of house to look after. One with lots of bars in the windows.
We'd better reinforce that door. Take the lamp.
I can just imagine the sergeant's face when he finds out.
Craig, can you hear me? Sergeant, they're dead people trying to kill me!
Message for you.
Look, I know it sounds silly, but is it possible? I mean, could a film fail to catch an image for any reason?
Well, a ghost, maybe. John Saxon, Elizabeth Turner. Cannibal Apocalypse. When they come out, you'll taste a new kind of terror. And when they reach for your blood, you'll know a new way to die. Jesus.
Oh my God, son. Put it down. Cannibalism.
It's the final unspeakable horror.
There's a Vietnam vet barricaded in the flea market taking pot shots at the cops outside.
Oh, that's enough.
Oh, wait a minute, wait. Please. Please try to understand. Listen to me. While she was here, I had this urge to bite her. Bite her, you understand? Like Bukowski.
Piece by piece, they're ready to eat you alive.
Do it away.
Cannibal Apocalypse. What satanic evil terror made them vicious mean? What power and control turned them into rabid, flesh-hungry hunters? Victim by victim, they butcher until nothing is left but the stench of death. It's an epidemic of killing, turning the streets into a madhouse and the city of Atlanta into a blood-drenched graveyard.
We got it. There's no exit there.
Cannibal Apocalypse. Directed by Antonio Margheriti. Their next meal may be you.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack. Promise to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, your sweet tooth. So visit our refreshment center now. Let's go! And now, on with the show.
And we are back, everybody. After I handled the Hound of the Baskervilles, we are back. That's right, and we're going to be talking about a movie from 1974 first, directed by Jorge Grau. I think I said that right.
Yeah, you did.
Who was a Spanish director, and this is a Spanish-Italian co-production. This movie goes by a few titles. Probably the one that I know most by is Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, but it's also known as The Living Dead of the Manchester Morgue, and it's been released on multiple editions under both titles, even from the same company, Blue Underground, put this out under both titles before, which is crazy.
I like the original title. You see the original title in Spanish? I like that. No profanar el sueño de los muertos, which does not translate to Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. It translates to Don't Interrupt the Dreams of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which is still, I mean, it fits. It fits.
Yeah, all the titles fit, yeah, this one's very zombie-ish. It's our zombie feature of this double feature. And the synopsis goes, the synopsis of IMDb is fucking hilarious. A cop chases two hippies suspected of a series of Manson family-like murders. Unbeknownst to him, the real culprits are the living dead, brought to life with a hunger for human flesh by ultrasonic radiation being used for pest control. Spoiler alert! But anyways, the first time I ever seen this movie, I fell in love with the atmosphere of it. Some of the character choices we might get into a little bit later, but overall, this is kind of like one of those like atmospheric zombie movies that has like this kind of cool Spanish, but the whole movie takes place in England, which is weird. So that's kind of odd, that never happens in this time period. But the scenery shots are great. Like that whole scene in the beginning, opening titles with a guy on the motorcycle. And weirdly enough, like when I first I actually did a show on this movie before. It was kind of weird because it was during COVID, and the first thing I noticed, like the opening shot where everybody's wearing face masks, I'm like, damn, what the fuck's happening there in that part of the town? We might get into that later. But this movie has fucking Ray Lochlovely in it, who I've seen in a bunch of movies. I most notably know him from the Giallo film Autopsy, and he also was in Murder Rock, the Lucio Fulci movie. But he's the main guy in this movie, who's like an art dealer who's going away on the vacation. It's like a 3-day vacation in England, I guess, going on at this time period. But he's going to the countryside to another town, meet some friends about a house, and he runs into this other girl, and that's kind of the interesting aspect of this movie. The first few movie moments of this, these two characters meet and they fucking hate each other. It's fucking kind of great in that aspect of it. And then shit starts to happen, and the zombie shit starts to happen, and then you get probably the most defining character of this movie in the way that how the story goes with the inspector played by Arthur Kennedy, who is the definition of fucking piece of shit cop in this movie. Wow. He's the most divisive character in the movie, especially with what goes on in it and how the actions played out. Because the people that are doing the more detective work are the two main leads of the movie, and this guy's like, it's okay, let him by, fucking hippies, But yeah, the zombies themselves, I dig the look of them. Giannato De Rossi actually did the effects of this movie. He would later go on to do the zombies and Zombie. So that's kind of a cool connection to one of my favorite movies in that sense, where some of the zombie effects are kind of from the same dude, which I dug. Some of the gore shots, pretty gnarly in this movie. But yeah, it has a great soundtrack. I love the jazzy feel to it. It's very jazz heavy and kind of supersonic bass with that kind of weird sci-fi element that this movie kind of throws in there. And the scene that really fucking fucks with me is the scene with the zombie baby.
Yeah.
That was fucking kind of gnarly for the time. That was kind of cool.
Big
and
time, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture of some influences from Romero. It's any zombie movie after Night of the Living Dead. It's kind of they're gonna be kind of compared to it in that sense but I think this one has that sense where it does some of the effects of the Romero zombies with the terror and the creepiness of the zombies and how they are portrayed in this movie with kind of this weird element of this neighborhood where they don't want to that closed iron curtain feel to it, the period piece of the film. Where movies of that generation usually take influence from things that are happening in that world of that time, which this movie kind of does well in that aspect of it. But I'll go with Venom. Venom, you've seen Let's Sleeping Corpses Lie before, I believe.
Yeah, I've seen this one once before, and there's a reason I've only seen it once. Now, before I get into my review, I want to caveat this by reminding people about something that we talked about a couple of episodes ago when we did The Clairvoyant, and I forget the movie that we paired with that one. But
Cruising.
it's the fact that thank you. It's the fact that I'm not a big fan of police procedurals. I've kind of been on record as saying I don't like police in my horror movies. I even named this chat "Cops Ruin Everything" because, like, cops in cinema, not just horror cinema, but in cinema in general, are just always a waste of time. They bring down the story. They bring the pace down to a crawl, especially if it's a very exciting one. Like, I always use When a Stranger Calls as the example, where the first 20 minutes of it is just straight raw terror. It's scary, it's nerve-wracking, and then for the next 45 minutes after the opening 20, it's just a straight police procedural, and then it ends with another horror set piece. So it's basically two horror set pieces around a police procedural. That's just the example that I always use, but in general, there aren't many movies like Seven or Silence of the Lambs where I feel like they use the police interaction well. Mm-hmm. So, knowing all of this, I'm sure a lot of you are already going to know a lot of my thoughts on both of these movies this week. But yeah, let me start by saying I agree with Derek on a lot of stuff. I think the zombies are great. They are definitely more Romero zombies than Fulci zombies, which I can appreciate. Obviously, this is only 6 years removed from the original Night of the Living Dead, so obviously that influence is going to be heavy there. But when it comes to our protagonists, I like them for the most part. Both of our protagonists, even though they obviously get off on the wrong foot at the start of the movie, for the most part, they do their jobs well. I enjoy them. But then the police get involved, and that's when
they're the villain of the movie. Yes.
Yeah, just I can't get into this, especially this one. Like, I'll be a little bit more forgiving of the next movie that we talk about, but with this one, the police procedural aspect is so heavy, so thick. And the fact that, yeah, like Derek said, our main antagonist of this film isn't even a zombie. It's a fucking human, a police officer, a lieutenant, who's just fucking everything up left and right for our two protagonists. And the first time I watched this movie, it really left me with a sour taste in my mouth. Like, I was really upset with the treatment that our protagonists get. I was really upset that they are basically accused of all of this that's happening without any kind of police work, investigation. Like, does it not make sense that this guy doesn't have a drop of blood on him after supposedly killing someone and, tearing their throat out or something? Like, there's little things like that that just leave you scratching, like, your head. Like, are you even doing your fucking job, or are you just accusing the convenient person? Oh, this guy's a hippie and he's not from here. He's from out of town, so he must be the killer. Like, that's bullshit police work. And even in an old movie, it kind of tends to infuriate me. The one thing that I will give the movie is that it does give me a little sense of satisfaction at the end when our final protagonist does get a sense of revenge, even though the way that it happens, it's not really him. It's
perfect. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of hard to talk about.
It's cool and not cool at the same time. It's mostly cool. Like I said, the fact that he does get some sense of satisfaction, but because he's turned already, it's not like he consciously knows he's getting revenge. He's just, randomly killing some idiot who just happens to walk into his hotel room. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like Land of the
Dead. To an extent, yeah, I'll go with that. So yeah, like I said, I like our performance from Ray Lovelock. Like I said, I like him overall as our main protagonist. I like the general storyline. I do feel like some of the character decisions don't make sense. Like the fact that that George kind of let Edna dictate what happens after she destroyed his bike. It's like he wanted to go back to his house, and she's like, no, I want to go to where I'm going first. And it's like, well, fucking why? If George would have just stuck to his guns and said, no, you hit my bike, you destroyed my bike, so you take me where I want to go first. That's only fair. But no, George, I don't know if George was maybe falling for the girl or was mildly smitten or whatever, but he just let himself get kind of railroaded into this situation. And then, like I said, everything that happens once all the killing starts and just all the police the accusations, like I can't even call this a police procedural, because the police in this movie are mildly retarded. Like, they just don't know what the fuck they're doing, and it bothers the shit out of me. And I know it's a 1974 movie, so I have to kind of suspend disbelief. I have to accept that it's a different time period. Hell, it's a whole different country. So it's just one of those things that it's just the way that I watch movies. You know, I hate to see police in my horror movies. They almost always ruin it. I can't think of too many examples where the police are actually a big part of the story. Like, they actually add something to the story, you know? I mean, maybe Walton Goggins getting shot by Otis Firefly in Devil's Rejects. I love that scene, but that's a different story altogether, obviously. My point being, it's just me. I have this thing where as soon as I see police in my quote-unquote horror film, I start to lose interest. It brings down the pacing. It brings down the story progression. It just, like I said, it just brings the movie to a halt. And at least in more modern movies like this, at least the police are mildly intelligent. Like, they actually can figure stuff out now and then. But when it's an older movie like this and the police are just basically portrayed as the idiots who don't know what the fuck they're doing and just end up making the situation worse. Like, obviously, I'm not saying you want to believe the guy who just flat out says, oh, the dead have risen and they're killing people. Obviously, no one's just going to believe that guy unconditionally. But do your fucking due diligence, police. Like, investigate, actually look into it. Like, it felt like they did no work. They just decided this hippie is the killer, you know? And even though, yes, I understand that does work in real life. Sometimes police have tunnel vision when it comes to suspects. I understand that. It's infuriating in a movie. So overall, I love all the zombie stuff. You know, the kills are, you know, pretty decent. The overall storyline, a good score, good sets, tension. It's just every scene with a police officer in it, it drags me down. It just brings the movie to a halt. And I just end up kind of losing interest and kind of starting to drift away. And that happens with both of the movies this week. You know, I'm not saying that either of the movies this week are bad, quote unquote, not at all. It's just that they both have elements that I'm not a big fan of. You know, some people don't like rape revenge. Some people don't like found footage. Well, I don't like police procedurals. So it has to be exceptional. Like I said, it has to be like a Silence of the Lambs or a Seven for me to really be like, okay, that was a good horror police procedural. And granted, I don't seek these movies out. So there could be good ones out there that I've just never seen because I'm not the biggest fan of the subgenre. So and I understand that. There's probably really good ones out there that I've never seen and I may never see because I'm just not that big a fan of the subgenre. So overall, it's still a good movie. It's still a solid movie. It just had enough elements that frustrated me that kind of it leaves me with a sour taste in my mouth when the movie is over. Despite George getting that little resemblance of revenge at the end, it still leaves me just pissed off at all the police in this movie. So I'll just leave it at that for now. Like I said, overall enjoyable.
What you want, what you gonna do when bad boys come for you? I'm just kidding, Venom. No, I get it. Plus, it's because the main chief of this police procedural, Arthur Kennedy's character, is just so against them. He's kind of like kind of like the aspect of Brian Dennehy's character in First Blood, where it's
yes,
he's very gun ho in his fucking his predictions and his views on people. And that aspect, it's very in your face in this movie, so it makes all the other cops have to follow this guy's lead. So it's
exactly.
You know, it's
yeah, like I said, this isn't a bad movie by any stretch, but just like I said, once inept police officers start showing up in a horror movie, I just start to lose interest. It's a personal thing. It's not, I'm not trying to say that this movie shouldn't be watched. No, this movie should absolutely be watched. This is a time capsule. It is a beautiful film by a great Spanish director. Yes. Oh, and one of the first cinematic zombie babies, and one of the most realistic zombie babies too. Like, not an over the top, like, silly cartoon looking demon,
like Minecraft.
Yeah, man, this thing was cool. So, I mean, the movie did stuff right. It just did other stuff not so right. So yeah. I'm kind of on the fence on the film. I enjoy it, but it's not something I'll return to too often.
Honestly, like I heard that view of it before, so that aspect of it, I'm kind of appreciative that you're honest about it. So that's cool. But to each their own.
Honesty is the least you'll get from me.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's brutal, but I try not to be brutal when it's not warranted. And this movie, like I said, this movie's not bad. It's objectively not bad. So I don't want to shit on it just because there's an element of it that I don't like. But yeah. I still am going to voice that there is an element I don't like. So there you go.
Oh, I hear you. So, Mike.
I enjoy this movie, but I get some of the criticisms that Venom has, because I don't mind police procedurals actually personally. But I think in a movie like this, what it does, it kind of messes with the pacing. Because, like, I feel like whenever there's zombie action on the screen, like in the hospital or in the actual morgue itself, hence the title, it's really good. It's tense. The gore is good. I like the design of the zombies. It's like creepy. I like the settings. I like when we get like the night fog and all that stuff, and dealing with zombies and that. It felt like when they first get to that cemetery morgue area, it almost feels like a little homage to Night of the Living Dead, because it almost felt similar the way the car drives up at the beginning of Night of the Living Dead, and then you have like the one zombie kind of roaming around the cemetery. Like, it felt like that was shot almost like in a similar way, and I have seen the movie before, but I never really honed in on it before. And it could just be coincidence because, hey, it's a zombie movie. There's a cemetery. There's a morgue. Not exactly like the first time we've got that, or it happens in a lot of movies, but it just, something about the way it was shot almost kind of felt similar. But yeah, like, I feel like I'd just be repeating a lot of what Venom said. I liked it. I will say I think I liked it more than him, but I do agree. It was, for this one, it's mostly a pacing issue. But I think there's a lot of people that just haven't seen it before, so I would still say it's definitely worth watching. And it's this one's on Shudder, right? This is the Shudder one for now.
Yeah, I think Shudder.
Yeah, and yeah, like, if you like zombies and you like the genre, it's definitely worth watching. I think you're gonna get a lot out of like what actually happens with the zombies. It's interesting. There's a good tongue. That's the other one, I think. Yeah, the other movie. Yeah, shit.
There's some good like scenes of like them going in the guts and shit, like digging their hands.
Oh yeah.
This is before like Dawn of the Dead, so it's like, it's kind of like cool in that aspect where like, maybe Romero saw this movie. He's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, or that's the thing. It's like in the wake of Night of the Living Dead, because if Romero, one of the outcomes, it wasn't just that Romero made these great movies, but it like forced everyone else to step up their game. So like you see like the competition between like, oh, we got to make our gore or zombie gore, guts or whatever look realistic. And then you get a movie like this, and it just definitely felt like a jump. And then Romero comes back with Dawn, and this was a great like
this
period.
Is the same guy, like I said, this is the same guy who did the effects for Zombie, which is like even crazy because then he outdid himself with that one. And I love Giannato De Rossi's effects forever. If you didn't know, Giannato De Rossi's last known like makeup effects was actually High Tension. He did the effects for High Tension for Alexandra Aja.
Oh hell yeah!
So like those effects, like that whole scene with that fucking on that staircase with the fucking head smash scene.
Mm-hmm.
That blew me away. Like and he's worked on like shit like Conan the Destroyer. He did like the effects for that and shit.
Oh damn, this guy's a legend.
Yeah, like Dino. He worked with Dino De Laurentiis. He did some of the effects on like King Kong and shit with Carlo Rambaldi. They both worked on that movie. Yeah, I'm a nerd for that, like Italian effects artists and shit. Like it's kind of cool in that aspect where I could look at that kind of aspect. But yeah, like even like the police shit. I love this movie. Like the atmosphere to it, and like, and we got like the whole like aspect of these movies where like none of the main characters actually live, which spoiler alert, they're like movies from the 70s and 80s. That aspect of it, like you don't really see in horror movies. And plus, there's some real life shit that you don't really see in horror movies. Like Edna's sister is like a heroin addict, which was kind of mind blowing for the time period. You never really seen that in movies back then.
Literally mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good aspect of this one though. That like everybody dies. Like it's like you almost like start to choose like, okay, it's gonna be this person that's gonna survive, and then they get taken out, and you're like, okay, well between who's left, it has to be this person, and then they get taken out.
Yeah, especially like the whole aspect of like he's actually like. Because that when they met, they were fucking bitching at each other, but then at the end, like he's actually trying to go save her and shit. So they did kind of build like this relationship, doing like this detective work, pretty much. And that's kind of a cool aspect of the movie. The two main characters do grow within the story, which I do respect.
And don't we get a zombie using a machete or something in this one too?
Yeah, like there's one carrying a cross and shit. Like I showed the.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I actually did mean to bring that up. I was impressed that these are like tool using zombies. Anytime you see zombies that are smart enough to use tools, I'm always impressed by that. And like I said, most of these zombies, it seemed anyway that a lot of these zombies were freshly dead. It's not like they had been dead for like 10 years.
Yeah, they were like the ninja zombies from Burial Grounds,
Oh, yeah, exactly. So I did appreciate that aspect of it. Like I said, it felt more like a Romero than a Fulci. And as much as I love Fulci, he's my favorite Italian director, I do appreciate the zombie action in this one. And like Derek said, the atmosphere and tension is great. Like that can't be taken away from the film.
Yeah, the best scene, like when they're in that fucking catacomb and they're trapped with the zombies, because I did this review for like Solar Dissections. Wow, I can't even say the name of the show. It's been so long. With Carly, and we talked about that scene because that's actually a scene that actually kind of scared the shit out of me the first time I seen it, because like the whole hypnotic like sound of the music of like it's kind of ultrasonic, which gives me the point of like the whole aspect of it being ultrasonic radiation, which is used. So it's kind of mixing like a zombie movie with like an eco horror movie in that sense too, which is kind of mind blowing. The way I say that, because usually this would be like a mutated creature in this movie, but it's just zombies,
right?
In that sense.
That was another thing I did forget to mention. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting. I am a sound man by degree. I have a bachelor's degree in audio production, so the fact that they're using sound waves to reanimate these zombies, I actually thought that was pretty fucking clever. Like, I don't know if there's any actual real world scientific basis for that. It seems like bacteria and viruses would be a much more real world reason for the dead to rise. But the fact that they were doing sound waves, I'm like, well, that's kind of innovative, because I've never really seen a movie do that. So I'll give it its props for that. I thought that was very original.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting concept. Like, it's something when you see like a lot of horror movies of a specific genre, sometimes it's hard. Like, even if the movie's good, it's hard to come up with like something unique. But I thought that the use of like sonic radiation. Well, they describe it as like, oh, it's giving off like some type of sonic radiation. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Which isn't. I don't think that's actually a thing, but I like the term.
Know, but
sonic radiation sounds fake, but it's cool.
Yeah, like we'll talk about Antonio Margheriti because he came in that time period where he made like a bunch of sci-fi like epics, and that's something that would be like in one of his fucking early sci-fi movies that he used to do. Like he did like a bunch of movies about planets fighting each other. Like it's fucking nuts. I'll get into that in a little bit. But
I actually, before we move on to the next movie, I actually, just for ha-has, I looked up sonic radiation, and yes, it is actually a real thing. Apparently, there are waves within the sound spectrum, the audible range of the human ear, that could actually cause adverse effects. It's also called ultrasonic radiation. It's real. Go figure.
Yeah, fucking Jurassic Park's about to happen now, so fucking zombies.
We got dinosaurs and dire wolves coming back. What the hell?
Like we can just have ultrasonic radiation zombies now.
I love it.
Isn't that crazy? They made
if I made a movie, they would only rise if somebody played Slayer.
That'd be amazing.
I want to make that movie now.
Okay. Let's do this. Next movie up. You ready? Oh boy. Wow. Even this one has a fucking zombie connection. Holy shit. I didn't even know that going into this. Next movie up, 6 years later, Cannibals in the Streets, aka Cannibal Apocalypse, which is directed by Antonio Margheriti. Yes, who I know from Search Movies as he did a movie when I used to watch as a kid known as Battle of the Worlds, which starred the legendary Claude Rains, where it's about like this planet that's coming to Earth that's going to be crashing. It's kind of like, weirdly enough, it's kind of like the plot of Melancholy with fucking Kirsten Dunst, but with like Claude Rains actually crashes into the planet and dies at the end. It's kind of weird. We also did like movies. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say he actually directed one of my favorite bad sword and sandal movies, You're the Hunter from the Future. Yeah. That movie is bad, but I fucking love it. It's so awesome.
He also did Snow Devils, which, if you didn't know, it's about like fucking aliens from fucking, yeah, it's like a fucking sci-fi. He did a lot of like sci-fi space movies back in the 60s. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Then he also did like the movie that I also know him from. Let me see if this is the right one. Yeah, Seven Deaths of the Cat's Eye, which is his contribution to like Giallo, but it's also kind of like a old dark house. Even has a fucking gorilla in that movie, which is nuts.
I've actually seen that one. Yeah, that was
it's actually fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's like an old dark house Giallo. That's the way I would describe that one. But he did this movie in 1980, which stars John Saxon, who actually, if I know correctly from the history, got mad because he actually didn't know what this movie was about when he made it. Yeah, this movie's actually co-written by Antonio Margheriti and co-written by Dardano Scacchetti, who, if you don't know that name, he's kind of known for writing a lot of Lucio Fulci movies, especially from this time period, like Zombie. He wrote all the City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, House by the Cemetery. He also wrote the screenplay for Demons and Demons 2, which we talked about on this show before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a little connection. We talked about Gennaro De Rossi on Let's Sleep in Corpses Live and Dardano Scacchetti. So there's two connections to Zombie in this show, so that's kind of cool. But this movie has John Saxon, Elizabeth Turner. Yeah, we got Tony King in this, and we got the legendary Giovanni Lambano Radici as Charlie Grabowski, who I know from like Cannibal, Ferox. He's in fucking like City of the Living Dead, Stagecoach, House at the Edge of the Park. He's like that Italian character actor. He's in a lot of fucking Italian horror movies. If you've seen any of those movies, you probably know who this guy is. He's got a very distinct look. He's in Stage Fright. He actually is the first victim of that movie because he's the one that the killer takes the owl mask from that movie. So yeah, and we also have some bit characters. Actually, another Spanish horror connection. The lady who plays Nurse Helen, May Heatherly. Probably recognize her from the beginning of Pieces. She's actually the killer's mother that gets axed to death at the beginning of that movie. She plays the cannibal nurse.
Yep.
In this, but yeah, this one's kind of a mixture of like kind of weird because this came out like at the same year as First Blood. It kind of has some of the same similar like aesthetics of like Vietnam like war vets and shit in that era, which is kind of mind blowing to think about. But it's about a pair of Vietnam War PODs return to America carrying a dangerous virus that turns people cannibalistic when bitten, and their cravens spiral to havoc that sweep the city of Atlanta.
I had no idea this was Atlanta.
I know, especially with the beginnings at Niagara Falls, you know? Who would have thought?
Right.
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play. Even though the poster in the back, it looks like fucking New York City.
Yep.
So even this movie doesn't know where it takes place. You know? But, yeah, it's cannibals. And, yeah, there's a bunch of, like, weirdly enough, I think the guys who made Quarantine probably like, hey, why would you change this from the demon possession? Did you ever see the movie Cannibal Apocalypse? Let's make it super rabies. You know what I mean? They probably thought, like, let's do that, you know? Which is kind of cool. It's kind of like a cool aspect of this where it's kind of like a rage virus, you know, like, you know, in that sense.
28 Days prequel.
You know, you mean the movie Primal Rage? You got to see that. Where it actually comes from a monkey in that movie too. Yeah,
that monkey's got rage.
He does. Oh, but yeah, this is a movie I've seen 2 times already. You know, it's kind of a. I'll get my look. There's some like it. It's a fucking like every genre in one fucking movie. This movie, there's cannibalism. There's like a fucking exploitation scene. There's a fucking biker gang in it. Like this movie's got fucking everything, you know. It's a mad scientist movie. Like, you know, it's kind of crazy in that when you think about it that way. Like it even has like some weird like innuendo shit. Like the weirdest fucking part of the movie is where it's like it goes like these side characters with the girl next door and her fucking brother that live with their aunt, which we might get into.
The most predictable ending ever.
Yeah. But you know, like
you know, not that big a deal. It's just, you know, when you watch horror movies as long as we have, you know, that ending was pretty predictable. I think I predicted it halfway through the movie the first time I watched it.
Yeah. Yes, the whole, my favorite scene in this movie is that whole like fucking biker chase scene that takes place after the movie theater scene where Giovanni Lovato Radici bites the girl on the neck, and then all it heads into this fucking crazy shootout, and fucking people just start getting blown away and shit. And the best scene of that's when they shoot tear gas, and John Saxon's like, "No, don't do it. It's not gonna work." And he knows why, because he fucking pees on it. It's fucking great.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my, you know, it's kind of like a pure exploitation movie in that sense, where you can't define what genre it's in because it mixes a bunch of genres, which is one aspect of it I like. It might be divisive in that sense with a lot other people. But let's find out right now. Venom.
Yes. All right. Well, this is definitely not a first time watch. I actually owned this probably like 25 years ago. I owned it on DVD, one of those original, like, you know, with no special features on it whatsoever DVDs. I had this, and yeah, I watched it a few times. This is a very weird movie. It's potentially one of the oddest quote unquote cannibal movies ever. I think most horror fans, when they hear the word cannibal, they think of one of two things. They either think of jungle cannibals, Aborigines and, jungle dwelling flesh eaters. And then, of course, zombies. Zombies would be probably what most people think about. But this one, they go a third route where this isn't, they're not like a tribe that are, of people that are eating other people, and they're definitely not zombies. It's like I said, it's a contagion that makes people crave flesh. But it's very weird because the fact that after the people are infected, they can still speak. They still have their full mental capacity. They can still hold a conversation. It's just they can't control their urge to eat some flesh, which is very odd. It's one of those things that hasn't like it doesn't always work for me, because the urge to eat flesh would imply like an animalistic rage, something uncontrollable. Hence a 28 Days Later or, jungle cannibals, whatever the case may be. It just comes off as so weird, because in one instance, two of these infected people will be having a normal conversation, just a normal, what do we do now, Captain, blah, blah, blah. And then a minute later, they're biting into the neck of their next victim. And it's just a very weird dichotomy. It's one of those things that, it's taken me, I watched this movie for the first time probably in the mid 80s sometime, maybe 86, 87. I think I had rented it from a video store under its other title, Cannibals in the Streets. And I've always had an issue with this movie. Like, I enjoy watching it. I like Giovanni Lombardo. I love John Saxon. The underage neighbor is a little cutie pie. Like, there are a lot of elements of this movie I like, but the movie overall leaves me scratching my head for the exact thing that Derek said. It mixes so many genres. The movie doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be a police procedural? Does it want to be a cannibal movie? Does it want to be a gritty, New York style action-packed, gang warfare movie? It's like it doesn't know what it wants to be. And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. I'm not necessarily going to pass judgment here. Because I know many people that love this movie and it works for them, and that's great. But for me, like I said, it's always kind of left me scratching my head. What I do love about the movie, we got some great bite effects, all the bite marks look great, all the scratches, all the attacks all look really cool. As far as the origin of this thing kind of coming from the jungle and them getting infected with it when they were in Vietnam. I love the standoff with Bukowski and the cops, in the second act of the film, when John Saxon shows up, and police in the real world would never in a million years let the captain walk into that situation. By that point, Bukowski had already killed a gang member and a police officer. I can't imagine the police would let anybody walk in there unarmed. But again, it's a movie, suspension of disbelief. But like I said, overall, I did enjoy it. And I liked, even like after Saxon gets infected and he kind of, starts attacking people. For the most part, I like his performance. I like the way he acts both pre and post infection, if you will. Like I said, the effects are great. The score is great. We've got some good cinematography. I love the fight sequence, the big fight between our three cannibals and that gang. I love that scene. The fact that 3 guys beat up like 8 guys, I thought that was it's
like
it's got
3
that
Rambos killing.
Totally. You've got 3 former military against just untrained gang members. So I guess it makes sense that 3 of them could take out 8 of them. I guess it's not really that sensational, but I do like that scene. It's almost like the fight scene in They Live. It comes out of nowhere and it becomes like a vital part of the film. And the fact The other thing too is the fact that the guys that are infected are winning the fight by basically of biting, by just biting chunks of their neck, their shoulder, like any part of flesh that's exposed, they'll bite into it. And one thing that always struck me as kind of odd is how sometimes people in this movie will just keel over dead after being bitten. It's like, no, you don't die from a bite. Even a bite as intense as what you see in these films, it's going to take a few minutes for you to bleed out. You're not just going to keel over or die right away. Again, I know I'm interjecting logic into a horror movie, which I'm not supposed to be doing, but, here we are. So, overall, I like this movie. I like it a little bit more than Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, because even though this one does have police interaction, it doesn't feel as much like a procedural as Let Sleeping Corpses Lie.
Yeah, it feels more like a Dog Day Afternoon situation for most
yes,
of it.
Thank you. Yeah, much better. More of a standoff situation, which definitely works better. Because even though there's police in this movie, it's not like we're watching them investigate, we're seeing them chase these cannibals through the city,
Honestly,
once they
the worst
escape.
character of this movie is the fucking psychiatrist, because he's trying to get in John Saxon's wife's pants.
Yeah, that guy, that was a weird character. Like the whole time, I'm like, why would you hit on a military man's wife? He could kill you with his bare hands 18 different ways. It doesn't even make sense that you would hit on his wife. And then when we get that final standoff with the three of them there, it's almost bittersweet, because Saxon doesn't want to bite his wife. He doesn't want her to turn. But then here comes douchebag and ends up unceremoniously biting her. So, which kind of puts a damper on the festivities. But at the same time, like, I honestly thought, like, once the wife was bitten, I thought that Saxon and the wife were just going to go on and just kind of try to hide from the authorities and whatever, and maybe just eat only when they have to or whatever. But no, they basically just end their own lives and abruptly end the film, which, I don't know. It was also interesting how after the police find Saxon and his wife, they literally proclaim the nightmare is over. And it's like, what? Are you sure? Are you telling me for a fact nobody else in the city's been bitten? And then, of course, we get that final shot with the next door kids, which, like I said, a savvy horror fan will be able to predict that halfway through the movie. When the aunt is missing, when they're like, oh, she's out somewhere, it's like, yeah, okay. Like, we don't know where the aunt is.
She's in her belly.
Yeah, exactly. As a savvy horror fan, obviously you're going to pick that out. Obviously back in 1980, 81, we weren't as savvy, so it might have been a little bit more of a surprise, but yeah, it's not so much here. But like I said, overall, I enjoy this one a little bit more than the last one, even though the cannibal action in this one isn't nearly as horror-like as the last movie. This one is just so much, like, there's a lot of fun to be had here. Watching these three guys get out of the hospital, try to escape the police, going through the sewers. Like, I was half expecting Ramon the alligator to show up in one scene, but he never did.
Imagine.
Right?
Ramon theme style playing.
Oh my God! Stop it! You're getting me hard. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, I don't want to shit on this movie too much. Yes, there's elements of it that I don't enjoy, but there's other parts of it that I like a lot. Specifically, John Saxon. The gore, the little bit of gore that we get in this one. The final standoff with the cops and our three survivors in the sewer. Awesome gunshot through Bukowski's torso. Awesome gunshot wound. And then watching Tommy get set on fire. I mean, there's a lot of fun to be had in this movie. Like I said, even though it has elements that I don't enjoy and it's not a movie that I return to too often, there's still a lot of fun to be had here. So yeah, it would still get a high recommend, and I would definitely rate this one maybe just ever so slightly higher than Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, only because of how that movie hits me. I'm not the norm by any stretch, so, and I understand that. So, but overall, yeah, I have fun with this one. Every like 5-6 years when I run into it. I don't actually pop it in myself anymore, but every now and again, like the Pluto Horror Channel will be showing it, or something, or Tubi Terror or whatever. So it is something that I run into every now and again. And like I said, it's fun. It's a fun little movie.
Oh yeah, Michael, did you ever see this before?
I have. It feels like 2 or 3 different movies in one. Because of it opens up with like the jungle scene where it's like, oh, so we're getting a little Predator action before we get into our cannibal stuff. It feels like between the soundtrack and like the style, maybe because it's Italian, it almost feels like it's setting itself up to be like a zombie movie. And I think that's maybe why like Venom at the beginning was saying like it's almost kind of like a weird movie in a sense, because to me, before we really understand what's going on, like it seems like they're making a zombie movie, but it's not. But they're cannibals, but different than like cannibals that we think of. It's almost like this hybrid version of cannibals. But I do like it. It's just I think like on a first watch, someone would be like, what the hell, like this is kind of different than the type of like even cannibal movies I've seen before. Saxon, he's always the man. Like you should watch you should watch a movie just because he's cast in it. Like that's reason enough. I love the jungle stuff. There's a lot of weird, awkward creepiness in this one. Saxon trying to get with a girl that I don't even want to know what her age is, because I don't know if it was confirmed. I actually doubt it was confirmed, the character, but I liked it. I like the score too. It's kind of like that like jazzy bass guitar.
Yeah.
and it kicks up like all the time too, like even in parts like you wouldn't expect to, like just to do like different transitions from different scenes. It's a fun score. Like I would actually probably try to see if I could pull it up like later and just listen to it, because I like it. But yeah, I think it's one of those. It's probably another one that's like underseen. And yeah, IMDb has it by the name Cannibals in the Streets, and then it says the original title was Apocalypse Demoni. So yeah, this one has lots of different titles, because Cannibal Apocalypse.
That's fucking crazy. I was looking up Giovanni Ribano Ribisi. He was in fucking Gangs of New York. That's fucking nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's in everything.
And for whatever it's worth, just to answer Mike's question, obviously I don't know how old Mary is supposed to be in the movie, but the actress who plays her was 20 years old when she filmed this in 1980. So like I said, I don't think she's playing 20 years old. I think she's playing 15, but
yeah,
that's up to the viewer's interpretation, I guess.
I'm trying to think, like, have you seen Jungle Raiders, Derek? Is that one good?
Jungle Raiders.
By the same director?
Yeah, that's Margaretti. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
How is it? 'Cause
good.
it's on Prime.
I would.
It's
put
not
good
horror
in
though, is
quotation
it?
marks. What's that?
Is it more like action or is it horror?
It's a mix.
Okay.
Oh, there's one that he did in the '89 Venom that we might do on the other show, Alien from the Deep.
Oh, I'm down.
Yeah.
Have we even done an Alien show yet on Creature Comforts, or an Alien movie? I don't think we have, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, that was this show that we did.
Without Warning and
exactly, yeah.
Deadly Spawn.
That's what I was thinking about. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Hey, we need an Alien movie for Creature Comforts.
What about Seven Deaths in the Cat's Eyes?
Yeah, we talked about that in the beginning. That's
Yep.
It's one of his Giallo movies. It's kind of like a mixture of like a Giallo with like a James Whale Old Dark House type movie, where it's kind of like, is the house haunted, or is there death cat? Who's there a murderer? And there's even like that weird hokey like element of like those movies where they add a gorilla to them. They actually have a gorilla in this movie, which is nuts.
Is there a demon cat in it?
There's a cat, yes. It's not really a demon cat.
No demon, no.
They just made it sound like it sounds like a giallo title. That's why it's called
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
And even like the if you look at like the movie poster, like the font and everything, it
Yeah,
seems
actually,
like your classic.
actually, he worked with actually one of my favorite Margaretti movies is The Long Hair of Death, which he did with Barbara Steele. Which he actually worked on a few of her movies too, like Castle of Blood and Long Hair of Death are two classic like Barbara Steele like gothic horror movies, which are both awesome. Which I think actually one day we might do those. And actually, Castle of Blood he actually remade as Web of the Spider, which is kind of weird because Klaus Kinski is actually in it as Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. He actually remade one of his own movies.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, but I most notably. Yeah, go ahead.
I actually had a question. Okay, so Norman, John Saxon, he got the virus in Vietnam, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why did it take him so long to attack anyone? It seemed like all the new bite victims were turning right away, but it seemed like Norman didn't attack unless it's implied that he did attack people and we just didn't know about it. I know he bit the neighbor girl when she was getting frisky with him, but it seemed like he was able to keep the cannibal virus at bay longer than anybody else.
I think honestly, I think it's kind of like an allegory method of how they use it because of the aspect of they're using like the rabies as a form of like it's kind of like a metaphor for like the PST of the war, and you can see like the aspect of where those two were fucked up and they had to go to like fucking therapy, where he went back to his normal life and had to deal with it in his own way.
Okay, actually, you know what? I never even thought of that. So if I look at the cannibalism as a form of PTSD, then I think I like the movie a little bit more now.
Yeah,
I just never thought of that. Yeah,
that's why I kind of compare like some of the aspects of it to like First Blood because it's kind of in that same aspect.
Gotcha.
Dealing with the PST, he didn't snap until he was fucking pushed to the edge, you know.
Exactly. No, I got you now. Yeah, I like the movie more now. This is why we podcast, folks.
So yeah, I actually brought something like some
I like it.
Knowledge, you know, like it's kind of cool. Never thought that was going to happen with this movie.
Oh man, cannibals.
Are we the real cannibals?
Man, like I said, a big part of the reason that I don't get into this movie as much as I think I should is like I said, the fact that they bring up rabies. And it's like, when you get rabies, you can't think. You're like out of control. You're rabid. Duh. That's the term. You know, when you have rabies, you're rabid. So the fact that they brought up rabies in this one as the cause of the cannibal virus, yet all these people, like none of them were wild. Like I said, they all talked, they had conversations. I wish they wouldn't have mentioned rabies. Like I wish they would have either mentioned a different virus or just not mention a virus at all. Just say something like we've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, or even if like there was like a different virus, but they compared it to rabies in a way where when they do get ferocious, it's kind of acts like that, but they could still think.
But exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's one of that like I said, just the concept of a contagious cannibalism. You know, it's kind of like the way I look at It Follows. It's like, you know, a sexually transmitted curse works for me about as easily as, you know, contagious cannibalism. So it definitely is a lot of suspension of disbelief. You got to turn off your brain and just accept what the director wants you to accept. And overall, I think most people will have a good time with this one, even if you're kind of scratching your head on first watch, because of the mix of genres and the fact that these cannibals are talking like normal, like they can smile, they can be happy, they can be angry. It's like they're basically normal human beings, except they want to eat flesh. So it kind of takes a little bit to wrap your head around that. That's why I was saying that it doesn't really come off like a horror movie. Like if these guys, if once they got the virus, it was more like 28 days later where they turned into rabid monsters and just started attacking people. Like that's the horror element that I was looking for. Whereas this one, the horror is really just, you know, the bites, the fact that, you know, these people are just biting each other, eating flesh, blah, blah, blah. I do love the scene where Bukowski and the nurse cut that guy's leg open and start eating him. That was pretty cool. Like I said, there's a lot of elements of this movie to enjoy.
Yeah, she got into that real quick. She was like...
And that was funny, too, how she was, all against everything. And then as soon as she got bitten, she's like, oh, let's go. Let's start eating.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so funny.
Good shit.
All right, Mike, close us out, buddy.
All right. Well, we got zombies and cannibals tonight, so I hope you enjoyed two different genres. Yeah, two different genres.
I'd say 6 genres.
Yeah,
actually,
at least 5 or 6.
Accurate.
If we really dissected it, it could have been like fucking 15, because even one of them was like a drug addiction melodrama.
Yeah.
The
like Derek said, the exploitation with the neighbor. I mean, yeah, there's so many genres mixed in here. It's almost confusing.
All right, yeah. Well, that's going to wrap up our discussion on the movies and episode 66 of No More Room in Hell, but I think there's some new episodes of other shows available for people to listen to. Venom, what do we got?
All right, so on the latest episode of Creature Comforts, so we got the whole family together. So Mike joined us for that episode where we looked at
me.
There it is, the original The Fly from 1958, starring Vincent Price. Obviously, after we discussed that, we on the last episode of the main show, we looked at the remakes for that movie and Cat People, which was the previous episode of Creature Comforts. We already have our latest episode of Creature Comforts planned out, ready to go. It's just a matter of getting together and recording it. But that'll be, obviously, I'll definitely have that out before the end of the month. Look out for that one. And then Crystal Lake Gift Shop, episode 8 is the latest episode there, where we look at the episode of Friday the 13th, the series entitled Shadow Boxer, which, and with me and Mike both being combat sports fans, we both had a lot to say about the fight sequences in that episode. So check that one out. Of course, Mike and I do that with the lovely Lacey Lou. So like I said, check that out in the No More Room in Hell feed. I will have guest spots coming this summer, but nothing has been tentatively scheduled yet, so I'll just keep them under my hat for now. And then obviously Fresh Cuts every week, and I'll let Mike talk about the last episode of Fresh Cuts, and that's it for me.
Derek, do you got anything?
Creature Comforts, move on.
Yeah, the latest episode of Fresh Cuts was Curse of the Seven Oceans or Curse of the Seven Seas, depending on where you're looking at the
seven
title.
Cat's Eyes of the Seven Oceans of the Seven Deadly Vampires.
Yeah, bad things
seven son of a seventh son.
7 Voyage of Sinbad.
Oh, I love
Seven
that.
Doors of Hell. Yeah, so that's an Indonesian horror movie that's on Netflix currently. So
is it good?
Check that out. Yeah, it is. It's I think one of the better movies I've seen this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in my top 3 for the year. I loved it.
Okay, I'll go watch it then. That's all that matters.
It's short too. It's not that long. It's only like 94 minutes. It's fun.
It's like my love life.
Wow, 94 minutes? That's impressive.
It cursed and short.
The Curse of the Seven Voyage of the 7-inch.
Yeah, and then that's I think all I got. I also do have a guest appearance coming up. It's pretty solidified, but it's still a couple weeks away just because this is a monthly show, so I'll probably hold off on the announcement now, probably on the next episode of Fresh Cuts.
Me and Mike are making an X-Men podcast.
That Mike will never show up to.
Yeah.
It'll always be Derek and a guest.
And be like, why is Iceman not gay in this?
It'll be X-Man because it's just Derek.
I am the X-Man. It'll be just me and Rogue, my dog.
Oh, there you go. It fits.
As far as the next episode of No More Room in Hell, I think the rotation goes back to me. I had an idea originally, but I think I'm going to hold off on that idea until it's like a bigger number episode, like a 75 or something like that, because it's a little outside of the box of how we usually do it. Not like a huge diversion.
Was it like a top 10?
Format. No, it's just going to involve the three of us instead of like one person picking two movies.
Okay. I get kind of like the one we did with our favorite movies.
Something like that, yep. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yes. Something similar.
Or we could just do the Maniac Cop trilogy. I'm down. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I mean it's possible because I'm going to save that other idea for like later on. So maybe we'll see. But
shit,
other than that,
gotta buy Maniac Cops.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna close out No More Room in Hell 66. Thank you everybody for listening. We will be back hopefully in a few weeks with 67. So until then,
so they're gonna be terrible.
Yeah. Yes. Who will I piss off the most on my next rotation of picks? Find out soon.
Cruising Part 2. Don't be
Cruising 2. Cruise control.
Electric Cruisers Lou.
Even more fisting.
More rampart.
Cruising by dawn.
No.
All right, let's say bye to our listeners.
Bye, everybody. Remember.
Cops ruin everything.
Remember. Baby zombies. In Munchie Munchies.
In the jungle.
In New York, Atlanta, San Francisco,
England, Spain.
Peace.